For those of you who watch on YouTube, you guys will notice that I am not in my normal recording space because there's a map behind me. I'm actually house sitting, and so I've got all this extra stuff on the walls because I am commandeering my father's office. So having a good time, making sure the pup is well taken care of. But I am in a different location, so if I sound weird today, let's blame it on that and nothing else.
Actually, the acoustics in that room are pretty great.
Yeah?
Yeah. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know how to mimic this.
Do you have lots of stuff on your walls in your home office?
No.
That's the problem.
I kind of want to get some sound paneling.
Try just like putting up regular decorations first, and you'd be shocked at how much that helps.
That's fair.
But if you do get sound paneling, the panel or the wall behind your laptop or your desktop screen is start with that. And then start with the ceiling above your head and then move out from there.
Right.
Welcome to Talk About Tatooine. I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan.
And we are twin brothers here to bring you what's new in Nerdom and give colorful commentary on our favorite subjects. Welcome to our cantina. Grab a drink and settle in as we set course for realities beyond our own.
We are very excited to have you guys all in here today. This is episode 63. We are actually going to be doing and starting a part of kind of a series that we have been really wanting to do, and this is what we call a retro review. Now, before we even get into it, some of you are going to say, hey, what do you mean by retro? I get it. I get it. Some of you are going to be upset at that. No, we're not talking about Pac-Man or Pong. We're talking about games that we grew up with. And as I guess we're kind of in that middle-aged gamer category because like we're not middle-aged, we're still very young. But as far as gamers go, we're very middle-aged. Would you agree with that, Andrew?
Yeah.
Am I talking out my butt here?
As far as the demographic, if I were to just guess, I would say that we are kind of right in the middle. You know, it starts to tail off as people become adults, and the majority of gamers are actually children or young adults.
Yeah, probably those between like 12 and like 18.
And I wouldn't really call us young adults anymore. Yeah.
Agreed. I think young adults would be really stretching the definition quite a bit.
Yeah.
Small tangent. Sorry about that, guys. But we wanted to do this series where we talk about reviewing video games that we grew up with. Now, I'm going to harken back to something from a long, long time ago. Do you remember when we tried to start a blog?
Yes, I do remember that.
Back in the day when we didn't know anything about social media and like podcasting was still kind of on the up and up, blogs were huge. That's really how you got a lot of your information on certain hobbies. And we tried doing that. We tried playing different games and blogging about it. And let me tell you what, we didn't get famous on it because if we did, we'd probably be in a slightly different situation. So that means today we are going to be talking about part of the Halo franchise, and we're going to be talking specifically about Halo 3 ODST. This is episode 63. Today's recording date is March 8th. I had to look at my watch there, and will be released on March, 11th. So
proud of you.
I can count to 7, man. I can count to 7. We're talking about Halo, but we are going to talk about our starter question first, and make sure you guys stick around towards the end of the episode. We do have some Nerdom news for you as well.
Our opening question this week is going to be an interesting one for you. I want to know, in your guys' opinion, what is going to be the game of the year?
I really like that question. Now, that does depend on platform, because sometimes you will get game of the year that is like specific to consoles. Like they'll be like, oh, the new Halo got a game of the year, or Gears of War franchise or something like that. And you're like, that's not really fair because half of the people who game in the world can't really play that. That's a little bit tough. If I'm thinking of big titles this year, the first things that come to mind are obviously Helldivers, the newest Call of Duty. I definitely don't think the newest Call of Duty will get it. I mean, we still have a lot of like year left and some cool upcoming games. You're thinking for consoles, right? We want to keep PCs kind of out of the equation right now.
I am thinking at who is the actual game awards going to award the game of the year, not just like developers releasing their game of the year edition, which is not, hey, we won this. It's just, hey, we're re-releasing our game the same way like some movies go back into theaters in Oscar season. That's really what that is. Here's the thing, and I've said this quite a few times, and I continue to say this basically anytime I play it, is Helldivers is the most fun I've had in a long time playing a game. but there's not an actual linear story. I would think that the criteria for a game has to have a linear story. A huge component of that has to be a strong narrative driven story or single player or co-op or something. And I don't really think Helldivers has that. It has that really broad overarching narrative, basically saying, hey, this is the sector we need to conquer, which is really fun. It's so fun. Recently, in the last day or two, the new orders came in because there's new orders every like 5 or 6 days, and the developers are like, okay, you want this new feature in the game? You have to go conquer this planet. And the player base conquered it in like 12 hours. I couldn't get in fast enough to take that planet to even be part of the campaign. The campaign to actually take this world. And then by the time I did get on to stream earlier this afternoon, the servers were down. I feel like the goose with the knife in his mouth right now, and just like peace is not an option, and I am gonna start swinging.
I love that. I would say, actually, that brings up a good point. I think Helldivers will not get Game of the Year because they've saturated their own servers. And I think that's not because of a content issue. I think it's very much from a developer issue. They did not anticipate, and that's hard to do. Like, I'm not saying this is them making a huge blunder, but they did not anticipate how well this game was going to do and how much it kicked off. Because like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube basically took this. They said, hey, you're giving us a blank canvas to basically write stories, and we get to be shock troopers and we get to tell our own stories through social media. And they basically did that. So they blew this game up. So I think its popularity, first of all, is warranted. However, I think the server issues that they've been having, because it's pretty common. This is not an isolated incident. It's pretty common for these server issues to occur. I think that's going to be a nail in its own coffin. Yeah. I think Game of the Year is going to be very dependent on how Stormgate does.
That's really interesting.
If Stormgate does well, I think it has a very good shot at being Game of the Year, because I think we're starting to see a little bit of the final slip off from the RTS fan base in anticipation of Stormgate.
I think that's actually a really good guess. I think that would be really interesting. I did just pull up the Game Awards in the last few years. In 2023, the Game of the Year was actually Baldur's Gate 3, which does not surprise me in the slightest. And so when I actually said a couple years ago that it was God of War Ragnarok, that's not true. In 2022, the Game of the Year was actually Elden Ring. And then before that, it was It Takes Two, which is a co-op game. And then before that, in 2020, it was The Last of Us Part 2. Let's see. According to Polygon, in an article that was last updated a couple days ago. So some strong contenders, I think, for Game of the Year are going to be Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree. I think that's going to be huge, considering Elden Ring already won a Game of the Year. They're like, all right, going for another one. But we also have games like Star Wars Outlaws, I think, is going to be on a lot of people's radar. I don't think a Star Wars game has ever received Game of the Year. Actually, I know it hasn't. It's right here. It definitely hasn't. And I think the only Star Wars games to really receive awards from the Game Awards committee have been the Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order games.
It's interesting that Soulsborne games do so well because they're so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I find them infuriating. I can't stand them. I don't actually think I finished Fallen Order or Survivor. I'm like right at the very end, and I keep getting stuck at these different parts where it's just, they're like, hey, we're going to throw like a lot of really tough enemies at you. And I'm like, honestly, like, you haven't made me uber powerful. Like, my skills have not progressed to the point where I can take this on. So everything is a grind, and I just don't like it. The kind of adventure games that I do really like are, the big one that comes to mind is Fable. I really, really like Fable.
Such a fun game.
Oh, so fun. So fun. Looking through some of the games that are coming out, I really don't know what is actually going to be good and what isn't going to be good. Helldivers, I think, like we said, I think is going to be high up there.
Give me just like your final, like, This is what I think is going to be game of the year. What's your game of the year prediction?
I think Elden Ring is going to take it. Again, I don't like these kind of games, but a lot of other people really, really do. So I think Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree is really going to take it. I hope Star Wars Outlaws gets it. That would be a huge win for Star Wars fans to be like, this is a great game. Because, like, as far as Star Wars games, we really haven't had something that I have felt that I can really sink my teeth into. Just to be honest.
That is fair. I think it's going to be Stormgate if it performs well. So we'll see how it goes.
Problem is with Stormgate is we don't have an official release date yet because it's still in beta.
Right.
Like heavily still in beta.
All right, guys. And with that, we're going to go into our main discussion. But before we do, we just want to give a huge thanks to our top patrons, Mike, Isaac, and David. You guys are the reason we do this. And honestly, you guys have been a delight to have in our Discord server. So we're super happy to have you there. For just $5 a month, you can support us here at Talk About Tatooine so we can do more awesome things like giveaways, which we currently have our giveaway, which is actually based on Twitch, which we'll go over in just a minute. We also run game servers and can produce higher quality content with more support. Thank you all again from the bottom of our hearts. And before we get into the show, we just want to go over our giveaway. So if you guys follow us on Twitch right now, make sure you guys do that. That will enter you to win a Lego Executor set and some Amazon cards. What is it? $20 we got up on there right now?
I think we're gonna do a $20 Amazon card and the smaller version of the Executor. It's not a mini, but it's also not small. It's like, I don't know, it's probably like 2 feet by the time you assemble it. And it's not the Black Series one. The total value of this giveaway is around $100. If it was the Black Series, this would be like $1,000 giveaway, and we're not doing that. I have a mortgage.
Yeah, so make sure to follow us on Twitch, guys. We've only gotten a couple of new followers, so there's really not that many people in the running right now. So your chances are really good. So make sure you guys follow us over there. Today, we're going to be talking about Halo 3 ODST. We're going to basically be going through our similar format that we usually do for episode reviews. So we're going to be giving this game a scoring 1 out of 10. Andrew, go ahead and start us off with your rating 1 out of 10 for Halo 3 ODST.
My problem with this is I feel like I'm going to get crucified because I didn't really enjoy ODST all that much. And maybe that's because I didn't play it when it was released.
I didn't either. I played it very far after the initial release.
I played it for the first time all the way through about a month ago because in our Twitch chat, I had mentioned that I hadn't played it. And my Twitch chat was like, what? You haven't played it? You need to play it right now. So I did. I downloaded it and I played it all the way through. Not on stream. Some of it was, some of it wasn't. But like, it wasn't my favorite Halo game.
That's fair.
I probably would give it a 5.
Sorry, guys, I had to step away for a second, so the audio might be a little disjointed, but happy you guys are still here. Andrew, did you give this a 5? Is that what I heard you just say?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
That's fair. I actually gave this a 7. I give this a much higher score, and let me explain why. The first time I went through Halo 3 ODST was when it came out, and I did not like it. I was like, this is the worst Halo content we've ever gotten before. Absolutely hate this. I do not want to see it. And the reason is because I did not understand how to navigate the city.
That was a big issue for me.
As a child, I could not figure that out. It made me feel real dumb.
I mean, yeah, as a child, I struggled with that too. Not a fully grown adult.
And so I would just go around looking for enemies, and I was like, what am I looking for? And I realized very quickly once I went through this again, because once we decided to make this review, I said, I'm going to play through the entire campaign again, very similar to you. And everything just seemed so easy. There'd be a piece of something on the ground, like a bent sniper rifle, and it's like, or like hanging from something. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And you walk up to it, and it's like, it gives you a prompt to investigate, which prompts a flashback to a different character. And so you bounce back and forth. That's how the narrative moves forward in the game, even though the entire campaign is like less than a day. In actual time. And that made so much more sense. Or heaven forbid, look for the green doors. Hey, the door is green. Go towards it. It's unlocked. Oh, this giant highway door is red and has like big X's on it. Maybe I shouldn't go that direction. And I also used my map quite a bit. So I enjoyed it way more the second time. But
Gotcha.
it was a little bit weird to play through. and it was new enough where it didn't have the graphics refit that Halo 1 has, and Halo 2, I think, as well,
Yeah.
where you can basically just press the back button on the controller and you get a nice updated graphic set. And so you're like, ah, man, I'm stuck playing the old graphics. That stinks. And you're not a Spartan. Like, if that's not clear in the title, you're playing as a human ODST, a Special Forces Orbital Drop Shock Trooper, not a Spartan. And that does affect gameplay quite a bit.
It does. You get like a whole different weapon set. Like you just feel overall weaker. You're supposed to. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, don't melee the brutes.
Which is a really hard habit to kick. Because like I would just keep running straight at people, I would empty my clip, melee, reload, start firing again. And it was just like, oh, that bounced right off of them. It's like, I guess I'm dead. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, there was definitely a few times where you have to rely on your weapons really, really well. And in ODST, I don't know if you found this, but I really started to rely on the weapons caches that you could find. I was like looking for those because there's a lot of sniper rifle ammo, and I'm like, I don't care if I have to waste grunts with these things. Like, I am a delicate, fragile human boy. I need something with some kick. So it was a good time.
So one of the things in the gameplay that was pretty annoying, actually, in ODST, that was just a straight up downgrade, was flying the Banshees. There's no fuel rod cannon. I mean, maybe there was and I couldn't figure it out, but I tried switching weapons on the Banshee and it was like, no, you can't.
Which there should be, because there's a fuel rod cannon all the way back in Halo 1.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, there's no fuel rod cannon. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah, that is odd. To be fair, Banshee gameplay does change quite a bit over the saga.
Well, and like you had the ability to do some of the aerial maneuvers in the Banshee and ODST. So I was like, okay, this is a downgrade. I don't really understand why this is doing it this way. It didn't feel great.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some favorite moments from ODST.
I think probably one of my favorite moments from this game is towards the end. I actually really liked the part where, one, you got to defend the bridge to the Oni headquarters. I actually thought that was a really fun portion, especially if you know how like sinister Oni is. Which, if you guys don't know, Oni is ONI. It is the Office of Naval Intelligence. They are spooks. They are the spies of the UNSC. They are not super great.
Yeah.
But they have all the information. I really liked that part, but I think the part I liked even more was the part where you're defending the Pelican. I thought that was really fun. They gave you so many big guns to use, so many enemies to fight against, and it was just really cool. And the cutscene was pretty cool afterwards as well, with the Brute Chieftain that comes in at the end. Which, thank goodness you didn't have to fight that guy. I was like, oh, he would have killed us all.
Yeah, I thought that was... Yeah, I know. Anytime the Brute Chieftain showed up, I was like, I am not a Spartan. I'm so afraid I am going to die. I usually would have to like revert to a checkpoint, not by choice, but because my heart stopped beating. I got unalived. I got killed, massacred even. And I would just have to like look around when I spawn, like, where's the biggest gun in here? And just use the whole clip. I felt like the Brute Chieftains were a little stronger in ODST than they were in Halo 3, which is when they first show up. Because, oh my gosh, they kicked my butt. And maybe it's just because I'm bad at video games now that I'm old and I have 2 feet in the grave.
Technically, the Brutes show up in Halo 2.
The Chieftains, though, with like their armor and shields, are Halo 3. Maybe.
Isn't the Brute boss at the end of Halo 2 a chieftain?
Probably. I guess, yeah, he would be.
What is his name? Like Brutus or something?
No, that's not his name. Is it?
It's something really on the nose. I don't even know.
Oh my gosh.
I'm almost to Halo 2 on stream.
Awesome. I know. I'll have to join in because that sounds really cool. Anyway, I really liked the defending the Pelican part, mostly because I got a mounted missile turret and I just destroyed everything. I was like, no contest. This is amazing. I just have an infinite supply of missiles.
It's very fun.
If we're thinking of the same scene, that is.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really fun. Going down into the depths of Oni was really interesting. Some of my other favorite things that I really enjoyed a lot of the plot about like saving the Covenant engineers, because I've read some of the Halo books and they're like super important to the human war effort to actually defeating the Covenant. So when you started like in the campaign and you were just gunning them down, I was like, something needs to change in this dialogue because these guys aren't the enemy like forever. And you actually get to see that in ODS2, and it really like put a lot of the narrative pieces together in my head.
Yeah.
Along with ODST Buck, who's played by Nathan Fillion. I love Nathan Fillion. He's so great.
Dude, they did such a good job, like with the actors they brought in. But also, like, I think on the podcast, I think it is our official stance on the podcast that Nathan Fillion can get it.
Oh, 100%. He can get it.
Huge fans. While you were doing that, I did confirm, folks, that Tartarus, not Brutus, Tartarus from Halo 2 is a brute chieftain. He is the right hand of the Prophet of Truth,
who you later kill.
Totally murder. It's great. One thing I do want to explain is some of the lore for this episode. And I think one of the things that we touched on a little bit is the trouble with fighting the Jirlhane, which is the brutes. I want to give just a little bit of fun facts about the brutes. Nerd! If you guys don't know, there is a lot of different names for the Covenant and their different species. So the Jirlhane is the official name that they have given to the brutes. It actually is Latin for servus ferox, which translates to wild slave. So yeah, I know, right? It gets real dark real quick. So these are basically large bipedal giant ape creatures. They're basically gorillas with guns. And
that is,
yes, 100%. Not even kidding you. So average height is about 8 to 9 feet. Absolutely crazy. Towering over humans. And these guys weigh over 1,000 pounds. They are marked on the Halo.fandom wiki as being between 1,100 and 1,500 pounds.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. Basically, if you guys don't know, the Covenant, which if you don't know, Covenant is just like a fancy word for like agreement or like an alliance in this case, because the prophets are basically like going around the galaxy finding species, and they're like, hey, we have this super cool religion. You should join it. And people are like, yeah, we'll do that. And then they're part of the Covenant. Or they say, no, we don't want to do that. And they're like, cool, you're slaves now, or we're just going to glass your planet.
Yes.
That's essentially what happens. And the brutes enter the story, which we get to see in Halo 3, as basically just a continuation of the Covenant's conquest across the galaxy. They get to find the grunts, the jackals, the elites, the hunters. All of these come from different home planets and different species and levels of technology. And the Covenant's basically like, hey, assimilate or die, and the species that we see have chosen to join. That's just a like very short bit on the brutes and basically how they got integrated into the Covenant, as they decided to essentially convert to the religion of the prophets, which probably gets wildly derailed and radicalized once the Covenant gets disbanded later in the series. Someday we'll have a lore episode on Halo, and it will be fantastic.
A little bit more about the Orbital Drop Shock Troopers, or the ODSTs, something that later in the Halo universe, I don't know if you noticed this, but ODST Buck is later referred to as Spartan Buck. He is a Spartan 4. So as time goes on, the actual Spartan program really morphs from, we don't know what happens to the Spartan 1s, probably because they're all dead. The Spartan 2s were taken as children, indoctrinated very, very early, basically like Jedi. And then they go through this like horrific transmutation surgery to make them superhumans, which then kills off even more of them because they don't all survive.
Have you heard of Space Marines?
Have you heard of Space Marines?
Same process.
They don't get new organs, but they basically like almost cut them down to the molecular level. And like, they're like, we're going to lace your bones with titanium or something like that.
Yeah, they don't get new organs, but they do fundamentally change and augment the function of their current ones.
Yeah. So that is the Spartan 2 program. That is who Master Chief is. He is a Spartan 2. There are other Spartan 2s that are alive.
Don't forget about Jorge. George.
Never forget Reach. Gosh. I had read the Reach book, and when I heard that Halo Reach was going to be a thing, I was like, great. I'm going to start preparing myself to be sad because it's not going to be good. Okay. That's Spartan 2s. this all is going to make sense here in a second. Then there were Spartan 3s, which was very similar to the Spartan 2 program. However, because the war effort was so dire, the Spartan 3s were actually conscripted into service when they were still teenagers. So instead of getting like one surgery all at once, they were kind of going through progressive surgeries as they were aging to make them stronger. So even as like teenagers, they were still pretty strong, but they were not as strong. They basically weren't finished by the time they were pressed into service. And in the beginning of one of the Halo novels, which the name I can't forget, there's actually a massive campaign where like 100 Spartan 3s are launched into a planet to, you know, take over this refinery or destroy it. Like it was a high priority target and they needed to take it, and they all die. 100% of them die. And it's really tragic. It's really sad that these like teenagers, they're like, again, they're brainwashed and they're all killed off. So the Spartan 3 program is categorically a failure. It didn't work. It wasn't fast enough. It wasn't clean enough. And the fallout rate was too high. And then all the Spartan 3s died anyway.
Andrew, can I ask you a clarifying question?
Yes.
Now, if I'm remembering correctly, the Spartan 3 program was changed so fundamentally from the Spartan 2 program because of money, correct?
Money and the turnaround time that it needed to make Spartan 2s.
For context, folks, Spartan 2s were very expensive to produce.
I mean, and it took decades to make them. And that is something that Earth and its colonies didn't have as decades. They had months. So they tried the Spartan 3s. Again, that's why they were sending teenagers into combat. Again, ONI, which is like the governing body of the Spartan programs, they do not come out looking great in this. Child warfare and whatnot. However, then the Spartan 4s, by the time, with the help of the engineers that you see in Capture and ODST, they're able to refine the Spartan making process into what are called Spartan 4s, and they're able to take just people who are already adults, give them augmentative surgery, and turn them into Spartans. And that's how we see people like ODST Buck, played by Nathan Fillion, get it, who is now Spartan Buck. The downside of this is you have people who have formed their own opinions and have their own beef with humanity as a whole. And in some of the Halo books, you actually see Spartans who are traitors to the UNSC because of long held grudges. They go through with the Spartan surgery. There's like one guy and he like bombs like a space station or something and kills a bunch of other Spartans and a bunch of other civilians and military personnel because of how poorly he was treated. But he's also like super powered. So like only another Spartan could take him down is essentially what happened. Very sad. But now that is the current generation of Spartan that we're at in the games is Spartan 4s. There's no way we're going to be able to turn that into a short.
That is all right. We can put it in the thumbnail and be like, we talk ODST and Halo lore. You guys should listen because people like lore.
Lore is fun.
Andrew, let's move into kind of like our least favorite parts. And I have a feeling, now this is my twin connection talking to us across the state here, is I think we have the same least favorite part, but I want to hear yours.
It's the navigation.
100%. It's moving through that damn city. It was awful.
It's like, even with the map, even with the visual things, I would like kill people and I'm like, I don't know where to go. Or I don't know where to look in this, like look around this giant area for it. It took me an embarrassing amount of time to find the sniper rifle that was caught on the power cable above my head because everything is at ground level. It always has been in a Halo game. And I triangulated exactly where that object is you have to pick up. And I was like, the only place it can be is up. And I looked up and I go, son of a bitch.
Yes. To be fair, that is something that is like very, very historical about Halo games, and something that really threw me and probably a lot of people is they were like, hey, you need to find clues and they're not marked by a nav marker. And you're like, who's going to hold my hand? Where's the precious orange dot?
Yeah, I'm like, I am used to being coddled and I don't like being off leash. So
my skills in land navigation are subpar.
And it's like, they're trying to like immerse you into the world so you need to look around and investigate. It's like, okay, but this is a first person shooter, meaning that your actual point of view is extremely narrow compared to real life. Real life, you almost have 180 degrees
field of view.
Field of view. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, we are going to just wrap this up really quick. At least the main discussion we're going to wrap up. So overall, we gave this, between the two of us, a 6.5 out of 10. Overall, we liked the amount of explosives we were given, which is pretty cool. Nathan Fillion can get it. I don't think we said that enough. We got to see some cool lore, and we found that the navigation was hard to handle, especially when it first came out. And is there anything else our listeners should know in kind of like our summary of this review?
If you guys have other retro games or older games that you want us to review, send them our way. We're on most platforms, so give us a suggestion. Let us know, like, hey, I want you to review this. I want you to review this. And it can be like a game that you're really nostalgic for. It might be a game that we're really nostalgic for too. Like, honestly, we probably should do the Halo games because they're so good.
I mean, I'm streaming through it right now. I have maybe 2 or 3 more missions left in Halo Combat Evolved, which I've been streaming from my Xbox, which has been a fraught experience because for some reason the supercomputer that is the Xbox One still doesn't like put out super high quality streaming capability, which I'm like, why have the feature if it's not going to look clean?
They're like, best we can do is 720. I'm like,
720 is pushing it. I see a lot of pixels on that screen.
No!
Yeah. Maybe if you watch my streams, bro.
I do, but it's on my phone. I can't tell.
Dude, I know the phone app for Twitch sucks. You hear that, Twitch? Your phone app sucks. Anyways, let's not get too distracted. All right, we are going to go into some Nerdom news here, guys. We're super excited for this. So, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, we love Helldivers. Helldivers is just the modern version of ODST, so we're having a lot of fun with that. One of my favorite articles that I was looking at was the title of the article is Helldivers 2 Boss says players unlocked mechs 4 times faster than we thought and are now calling in so many EXO 45s that the servers are struggling again. So basically, as you mentioned earlier, they're like, hey, you guys want more stuff? You guys got to go fight for it. And they were like, bet. And they did it. And then the servers crashed again. So we're spreading democracy so quickly and effectively that we can't handle it. So guys, be patient with the Helldiver servers. If we're patient, this will continue in everyone's best interest. But if you just rush into it and you get angry and you're like, there's nothing to play, then like for some reason, if you're lashing out towards the devs, don't lash out. They're probably stressed. They're in their little like cubes and their little hidey holes getting yelled at right now. The CEO is not happy with them. So like, don't put extra pressure on them. They're already probably pressured and stressed out, and they made a cool game. So let's be patient with them. Does that sound like a reasonable ask of everybody?
They might have a healthy office environment.
I think they might have a healthy office environment, but when I looked up Helldivers 2 news, the second article that came up was CEO is upset with devs. Yeah, so it's like, oh boy.
Well, we stand with the devs. Corporate assholes can suck it.
Indeed.
I don't have any other bits of news other than, no, I do. Dune 2 is crushing it in theaters right now. Please go see it. It's so good. Oh my gosh. That's my official review.
Shai Hulud. Is Shai Hulud
Lisan al-Gaib?
So which part? I don't know what the translations mean. I just see the memes and I'm like, that's a Dune reference, but I don't know what they mean. Do you know what those phrases mean?
Shai Hulud is the sandworm. Lisan al-Gaib is the Chukotsa word for Messiah, which is the language that the Fremen speak. The Fremen are the people of Dune. They are the native people of Dune. Let's see. The Muad'Dib is a little desert mouse. Silly Muad'Dib, the little humble desert mouse.
Please stop.
A little nasty mouse.
Stop it.
It was such a funny meme. Let's see. Atreides is the house that Paul belongs to. Their enemy is the Harkonnen, House Harkonnen. What other words do you need to know?
Honestly, the Shai Hulud and the Al Galib was really what I was looking for, because that's what we're posting on memes, and I have like No idea.
Lisan Al Gaib.
Excellent. Ooh, can I throw some Game Pass news your way?
Yes.
Game Pass is going to be coming out with some new games as of March 11th. So basically, the time that you're hearing this, you should see some new games come to the lineup. NBA 2K24 is going to be coming to the service. I'll speak for both of us. I'm not even going to ask your permission about this. We don't give two shits about NBA 2K, and that just is what it is. If you like 2K, that's awesome. But we don't play sports games. Like, I like to play sports and be competitive in real life, but I can't shoot people in real life and expect that to go well. So I've never gotten into sports games. Anyways, we've got some more games that are coming out as well. Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun is going to be coming in March 2024. Also, Paw Patrol World is going to be coming. So some more kids games. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom is coming in.
What?
Yeah. We've also got No More Heroes 3, Lightyear Frontier, the MLB The Show. Again, that's a baseball game. We don't give two shits because we like to watch baseball in real life like normal humans and eat garlic fries like true Seattleites.
Woo!
So, few games coming in. The only thing that I would consider playing on this is actually Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun. Diablo 4 is also coming. Open Roads is coming. And Control Ultimate Edition is coming. Most of these games, don't even know. If you guys know what games these are and you are excited about it, let us know in the comments because we have no idea. And if these are like, hey, you should play this, you should stream this, we'll give it a chance. But if you ask us to stream NBA or MLB The Show, we will say no. We'll be like, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do that. If it's anything else, though, we could definitely get down with that. Lots of new games coming to the subscription service. I'm a huge fan of Game Pass because it gives me access to all of the titles that I enjoy playing and honestly has saved me a decent amount of money because if I were to buy all of the new games that I wanted, I would still have, even though I pay for the subscription every month, I still would not. I'm still saving money, essentially.
Well, and it takes the risk out of buying a game because if you've ever spent now $70, which if you're in a state like ours that has sales tax, you're looking at close to $80 for a video game, which is a ton of money. That's so much money.
And if it's a bust,
it feels really bad.
Talk about getting your nuts stepped on, am I right?
Oh my gosh. I will say this about Bolt Gun because I did buy it. I was definitely a little upset by the gameplay because I kept getting lost. And maybe this is just my smooth brain showing, but I got lost so often.
Me too. I also got lost a bunch.
I'm like, come on. We were going to review it and everything. And I was like, I kept getting lost. Come on!
In this episode of Talk About Tatooine, we realize Andrew and Nathan don't know how to read a map.
There's no map in Bolt Gun.
There is no map in Bolt Gun. You're right. And navigation is hard.
It's hard. But like the shooting aspect, I should not phrase it that way. The gameplay aspect of Bolt Gun is really fun.
You know what? Do you know what electronic activity is also super fun? Dart training.
Oh yeah. Speaking of shooting,
I get to play. So fun fact for the listeners, I do actually get to play with really expensive, like almost real weapons because of the job that I work. And they're so much fun. Oh my gosh. Also, I'm a better shot than like literally all of the people I work with. It's wild. And I don't shoot guns that often. The last time I shot a gun was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And that was like at a pile of rocks.
Hopefully not just a pile of, hopefully it was mostly dirt, but
let me rephrase that. It was with the quarry being the backdrop.
Yes.
I was not shooting at an active pile of like pea gravel. Does anyone else keep getting pelted? This really hurts.
Ow, that one hit me.
I practice actually really good gun safety. Like to toot my own horn, I'm very safe. But also I will bolt you in the head from 45 yards away.
That's pretty good. Someone's a marksman.
45 out of 45 shots, my man. We are so happy to have you guys here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Every single one of you that is watching is probably handsome, beautiful, amazing. Pretty sure we love you so much. Leave us your theories in the comments. If you guys have any thing about like Dune, Star Wars, Warhammer, whatever it is, leave us your theories.
Or Halo.
Or Halo, so that we can chat with you about it. And we will bring it up on the podcast. That'd be super fun. If you guys are fans of modeling as well, not like people modeling, that's gross, but like painting mini models like nerds, because we are awesome. Share pictures of your models on Twitter or Instagram. If you guys have a question that you'd like featured on the show, send us an email at talkabouttatooine@gmail.com. We would love to start a section of the show with listener questions. We would love to get that featured on air. So make sure you guys do
For
that.
sure.
Make sure to subscribe and like the video so the algorithmic overlords will slice this into the video, slice this video into the feeds of other like-minded folks, and follow us on Twitch so you can get Lego. Do it.
Yes, you have. It's free. It's not a subscription. It's just the follow button. Do it.
Do it.
Hey, thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys in the next one.